Hello everyone, Eugene again. And finally with July here, it's time that we all experience something so eagerly anticipated in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Black Widow. But before you go out in theaters and watch it, which I hope you do, not on Disney+, here are 5 things you need to know about before going in to watch Black Widow. Number 1, it'll be over 435 days since this film was initially supposed to be released in theaters. Obviously, due to the impending pandemic, Disney as well as Marvel Studios had to reshuffle their schedules when it came to theatrical releases. Not just Black Widow, but every other film in Disney that came out in 2020. Most films went straight to Disney+, others tried their hand at the box office during the pandemic, although with social distancing and a bunch of the policies that went down, really not very successful as they intended for. But now with vaccinations going around worldwide, and everything kind of coming back to normal, it looks like this is the perfect time to release Black Widow. And it looks like they're doing it. Black Widow marked the first MCU film to be released in theaters since July 7th, 2019, when Disney, Sony, and Marvel released Spider-Man: Far From Home. Number 2, this is the first feature-length film to be released under Marvel Studios' Phase 4 slate. The first 11 years and 23 films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, also known as the Infinity Saga, would lay the groundwork of what the future would hold for Marvel Studios going forward. Hence, Phase 4. Back in 2019 at Comic-Con, producer Kevin Feige stepped on the stage on Hall H and announced a slew of TV shows and feature-length films to be featured for Phase 4. And Black Widow would be the Kickstarter for that entire slate. Of course, the pandemic ruined and delayed all of that, and it would force Marvel Studios' hand to kickstart the new phase with 3 original TV shows on Disney+. WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki. While Black Widow may not be the first piece of material to be released for Phase 4, it will be the first feature-length film to be highlighted for Phase 4. And speaking of Phase 4, number 3, this will be the first of 4, yes, 4 MCU films to be released in 2021. While the pandemic did deprive us of any Marvel film coming out in 2020, it does make for a big makeup slate. 4 MCU films, ladies and gentlemen. Black Widow coming out this week. In September, we're due to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We're also due to see The Eternals in November. And of course, the Marvel and Sony partnered Spider-Man: No Way Home. Phew, talk about making up for lost time. Not to mention the slate of shows that they've released or plan to release in 2021 on Disney+. I hope you guys have warmed up your superhero appetite because this is going to be a big ass meal. Number 4, Black Widow set between the events of Captain America: Civil War and Avengers: Infinity War. If you've kept up with this encyclopedia known as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then you'll notice the obvious gap in Black Widow appearances between Captain America: Civil War and Avengers: Infinity War. The movie coming out this week will be that story filler for that time gap between the 2 films. Also, another note, if you have little to no knowledge of who or what Black Widow is or about, I urge you to watch the following films: Iron Man 2, The Avengers, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, and Captain America: Civil War. I'd also say Avengers: Infinity War and Avengers: Endgame, but I think that'd be too much to stomach. And if you've seen Endgame, you know what I mean. And number 5, this is reportedly going to be the final film featuring Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. If you haven't seen Avengers: Endgame yet, I apologize. Spoiler alert! You have been warned. If you've seen Endgame, you obviously know of Black Widow, aka Natasha's fate. So having this film come out will answer a bunch of questions. What was Natasha doing between Civil War and Infinity War? What's the significance of this group of individuals that she calls her family? What's the deal with Taskmaster? And of course, what's gonna happen now that Natasha is dead? So while the fate of Natasha is visible and known, that doesn't completely rule out that Scarlett Johansson isn't going to work with Marvel again, as Kevin Feige has spoken adamantly about wanting to work again with the Academy Award nominated superstar. So while we know what fate is upon us, if there's one thing we know about Marvel, never say never. Alright, so those are the 5 things to know before you watch Black Widow. Black Widow is scheduled to be released in theaters and on Disney Plus's Premiere Access July 9th, 2021. Hopefully you guys are watching it in theaters the way movies are supposed to be seen. So I hope you guys enjoy the experience and the film of Black Widow. I know for sure I am. Get your popcorn ready for this film that we've been waiting for over a year for. I'm Eugene from Eugene Reviews. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys for another episode very soon.